everyone, in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to do the Houndstooth crochet stitch. It's a very nice stitch, and traditionally it would be done just in two colours. It would be done in either black and white or black and grey, but I'm going to do a slight variation and I'm actually going to use some rainbow colours to do mine, just because I want to see how it looks really more than anything, and I do actually want to do it as a project, so I thought I might as well film the start of it for a tutorial. But if you were just using your two colours, then obviously the technique would be exactly the same, apart from the fact that you wouldn't snip off at the end of each row to change colour. You would carry your colour along, but I will talk about that more as we get to that point in the tutorial. So I'm going to start with my white. I'm going to create a slip knot, and as always, if you're not sure how to do that, then just nip and check out my beginner series. So to start off with, you want to obviously create your foundation chain, and this needs to be done in multiples of 2. So however wide you want your project to be, as long as it's a multiple of 2, and then you'll add one additional stitch at the end. So a multiple of 2 plus 1. 3, 4, 5. So if you just want to meet me once you've done that, and we'll get started. So I've just completed my foundation chain, and I've done my multiple of 2, and then I've done my additional 1 chain at the end of that. So now we're going to work our way back across, and we're going to start off by doing a double crochet into the second chain from the hook. And please remember that is a UK double. In the US this is your single. So we're going to it in the second chain, so that's your first chain, and then this is your second chain here. So you want to insert your hook into that stitch, yarn over and pull up, and you'll have 2 loops on your hook, and yarn over, pull through both. So that is a double. So you've done your double into that stitch. So into this next stitch just here, you'll do a treble. So that's a UK treble, US double. So yarn over, insert your hook into that next stitch along, yarn over and pull up, and you'll have 3 loops. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Into this next stitch along, you'll do a double again, so insert your hook, yarn over and pull up, and then yarn over, pull through both. Into the next one, you're going to do a treble again, so yarn over, insert, yarn over and pull up, and again you've got your 3 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. So you're going to continue that all the way along, alternating between a double and a treble into each stitch as you go along, and hopefully you should finish with a treble crochet. So if you want to carry on doing that now, so obviously in the next one it will be a double again, and then I will meet you as you get to the end. So I've just got to the end of my row, and I've just done a double, and now I've got 1 stitch left, which is where I will do my treble. And as I said before, you do want to make sure that you finish with a treble crochet. So that is how we're looking so far. Now, if you were just using your 2 colours, then you will carry your yarn. Well, you don't have to. Obviously, I know some people don't like to carry their yarn because they consider it wasting yarn, and they prefer to just have those extra tails to sew in at the end. But if you do want to carry your yarn, then I will show you how to do that with this next row. So obviously, if you're changing colour now, which you will probably be doing, then you won't complete that final treble. You will leave it so that you've still got 2 loops just here like this, and then you will grab whichever colour you're going to use next, and you will just pull that new colour through those last 2 loops. I'm just going to chain 1, and then I'm going to turn. So if you are going to carry your old colour along with you, oops, and just bring it round the other side of my work, there we go. So you'll just want to bring up that working end that you've still got of your white or whatever colour you've started with. Now remember, if you didn't want to carry your yarn, you would simply snip off and do a colour change as normal. So I've chained one and turned. I've got my working yellow and then I've got my white that I'm carrying. So in the base of that very first stitch where we've just come up from, on top of that last treble, you will go through that stitch and make sure that your working white is on top of your hook as well, and then you will yarn over and pull up and do a double crochet. So you'll always start with a double and finish on a treble. So you've done a double into that very first stitch, and just pull up that white so that nothing's being a bit saggy. And then into the top of the next stitch, so this stitch just here, which will have been a double in your previous row, you'll yarn over and do a treble. So insert your hook into the top stitch, making sure you've got the V, so you're going through the whole of the top of the stitch and also over the top of that working white for later, and you'll do your treble. And then into the next stitch, you can see it's a treble from the previous row, so you will do a double into this stitch, and again make sure you always catch the whole of the top of the stitch and work over that working end. And we'll do a double, and you've probably guessed it by now, you're going to do a treble into the top of the next, and then a double in the next, and always making sure that that working white that we're carrying along is being pulled nice and tight, but obviously not too tight, you don't want it to bunch your work up, but you just want to make sure that it is not sagging out anywhere or leaving any big loops at the back. So if you want to continue that, again alternating between a double and a treble all the way along, and then I will meet you as you get back towards the end, and in theory again you should finish on a treble. So I'm just getting back towards the end now. I've just done a double into the top of that treble from the previous row just here, and now because I know that I need to finish on a treble, that reminds me that I need to work into that very last stitch just there. So we're going to treble into that last double from the previous row, and like I say, we're not going to complete that treble because we're going to colour change again. I've carried the yarn this time, so I'm just going to flip the yellow out of my way, and I'm going to grab that white that we've carried all the way along and yarn over and pull that through those last two stitches, and that is how we're looking now. So that is how you would carry your yarn, and you would do it in the exact same way. So if you were doing the traditional colours and had used some black here, you would pick up your white again and turn and then carry your black along this next time, and you will pick up and drop in that exact same way that we've just done there. So I'm going to chain one now and turn again. Now I'm not going to carry my yellow because obviously, as I said before, I am doing a rainbow colour one, so I will just snip off that yellow for now, and I will tighten that up, and I will obviously tie that off and weave it in later on. So I've chained one and turned, and now I'll just work this last row with you again, but this is literally the row repeat. That row that you've just done is the row that you will repeat over and over again in whatever colours you choose to get your desired length. So we've chained one and turned, and then into this very first stitch just here at the base you will do a double, and then into the next one, which is a double from the last row, you will do a treble, and so you will alternate between those two stitches all the way across, and you will always have a double on top of a treble and a treble on top of a double. So it's a very simple pattern, and like I say, traditionally it is only worked in two colours, but I know that black is a very tricky yarn to work with, especially on camera, so I just didn't think it would be a particularly good idea to use that for the tutorial. So I also think that really bright colours like a rainbow actually look very nice in the houndstooth stitch, and this will eventually become a scarf, this particular piece that I'm making now, and I think it will look really effective. So you will just work that row over and over again. Obviously I'm just getting to the end of my row now, and you will always start on a double crochet and finish on a treble crochet. So as long as you stick to that, you will pretty much know that you're dropping stitches. If you realise you start finishing on a double, then you'll know that you've gone wrong somewhere, and you can rectify that before you go any further. So my double on top of that treble, and then I will finish with a treble into that very last stitch. So that is how the houndstooth looks as it goes. I'll work up a few more rows now just so that you can see the overall effect that you get as you go, but that is it for the tutorial section itself. So I've worked up quite a few more rows in the stitch now with all my different colours, and I'm really happy with how it's looking. I think it looks really bright and really fun, and I think it would make such a lovely scarf, and obviously done on a larger scale using really bright colours like these, it would make such a beautiful baby blanket. So I really hope that you've enjoyed this tutorial, and as always, if you did, please remember to give me a really quick thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, because I do at least one video every week, and also come and find me on Instagram and follow my journey on there as well, and I love to see your things, so please remember to tag me if you do make some things from my tutorials. But that's it for the houndstooth tutorial, and I will see you again for another one very soon. Thanks for watching.